Progress, not perfection. Welcome to McBain Moments. So, progress, not perfection is a Lokism. I got it from one of Dan Lok's YouTube videos. And it's one of those things where you have to be willing to take a look at yourself and realize you're going to try to do a thing and it's not going to be perfect. And I think the people who suffer from this the most are artists. They always want perfection in their work. And I'm not ragging on artists, trust me. I'm an author. I spent almost 10 years perfecting a book. I get it. I do. By the way, that book is going to be coming back out here within the next year. But every time you do an iteration, every time you go back over it, you're making progress. Every time you make a drawing, every time you write a paper, every time you make a video, every time you give a lecture, you're going to be getting a little bit better. And I think that creators in particular, whether it's for YouTube or fine arts artists or authors or what have you, even salespeople and construction workers, they expect perfection in their work. Now, in construction, you want a certain level of perfection because there's safety rules. There is a minimum standard in construction. But to be perfectly honest, when it comes to the more decorative aspects of things, a lot of people expect that their first attempt is going to be bang on, and it's not. I recently saw a meme on Facebook, and I wish I could remember the source of it because I'd share it. It was it was on Twitter. And it was, your first video is going to be crap. Your first story is going to be crap. Your first essay is going to be crap. Your first drawing is going to be crap. Do it anyway. Because every time you do it, you're going to get a little bit better. We want to look for incremental improvement in the things that we decide to do. Go back and watch my first YouTube video for Entropia Universe and then compare it to my Entropia Universe videos today. There is a marked improvement, and not just because I improved my hardware, although that definitely helps. Just going from shooting this video on my cell phone to shooting it on my Pixelbook improved the video quality. But at the same time, I learned how to present a video better by experience and by observing others do it. And oftentimes, you can actually find things online that will help you improve yourself just by watching how someone else does it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how humans learn. We take tidbits from different things that we see and different people we watch, and we integrate it into ourselves, and we push that back out. And I know I've gone through, that's kind of like beating a dead horse for me, but I really think that it's important that we as people understand that we're going to have to work for a lifetime to become perfect in anything, and even then it might not be perfect. There's an old saying: the master has failed more times than the apprentice has tried. And it's true. It's hard, especially when you're starting out, to grapple with it, or even a few years in, but it doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. And I'm going to give you an example. So I'm a fencer, as I'm sure you all know by now. If you're new to my channel, I'm a fencer. And I don't mean Olympic fencing. I do heavy rapier. So we're using really stout blades. And for, let's see, I've been fencing for 7 years. And so when I moved back to Vermont from North Dakota, and I met another fencer who's roughly my skill level. I think he's slightly better than me at this point, but I know that part of it is because I had to take a hiatus. I think when I got here, we were pretty much on the level with each other. I had to take like an 8-month hiatus from fencing due to work, and that rust is still something that's been almost a year back, and I'm still trying to work out the kinks. But I had a 43-inch sword, and I'm not bad at fencing. I'm not a master of fencing, but for my level, I'm good. And so when my 43-inch blade failed, because they do fail, believe it or not, the blade is the most disposable part of a sword. You're going to change blades probably once every 3 years. I picked up a different blade. This one was only 37 inches. And I did that because one of the things I needed to work on was becoming more aggressive. I'm very much what they call a riposte fighter, meaning I'm all about the counterattack. I wait for you to attack, I block, and I counterattack. And I did that for years, and I was fairly successful at it, but you don't become a master doing that. So I'm like, okay, I need to force myself to become more aggressive. I'm going to shorten my blade by 7 inches. And so I did that, and that was about the same time I got back into fencing. So think about it. The blade failed. It was about the same time I had to stop fencing, so I just didn't buy a new blade, and I got to the point where I could fence again, so I bought a new blade. It was 6 inches shorter, and now it feels like I don't have any skills. I'm getting hit a lot more. I'm not defending quite as well as I used to, which that can be attributed to rust. That part's been resolved for the most part, but just for the point. And I couldn't figure out, where had I lost my edge, to the point where I even asked the person that I felt I had been on the level with, I feel like I lost my edge. And he's like, no, you haven't. What's going on? He goes, so last weekend I'm at practice and I talked to that fencer. His name is Kenrick. I go, Kenrick, can I borrow your 45-inch sword? And he goes, sure. And I've never used one quite that long before. 45 is really, really long. Like longer than a longsword by a lot. My 37 is technically longer than your average longsword. The average longsword's got a 36-inch blade. 45 is closer to what, if it was a heavier weapon, it would be a Zweihander or a greatsword, for those of you who like fantasy. And so I did stiff shot my opponents sometimes, and I apologized to them. They understood I was using a sword I'd never used before. But all of a sudden I realized, no, it's not a lack of skills. I have handicapped myself by using a weapon that's not optimized for me. And there was a point to it, but because of that, I realized I'm making progress by deliberately handicapping myself, but I'm by no means perfect. And so I want you to take that. I want you to have that as the takeaway. Guys, thank you for watching. This has been a McBain moment.